Hello there. Welcome again. Episode 3 or 4. I think this might be, I don't know which one it is. Season 4, episode 3. Anyhow, welcome to you, and I'm so glad you're here. Santa here. Where are you? I'm at the North Pole. It's going to be a nice show tonight. Welcome to Santa's studio. Santa doesn't really allow anyone in here. Maybe an elf or two, but that's about it. This is a special place where Santa can answer your letters and your requests, do some thinking, do some writing of stories. I make lists here of places I need to go. Again, I'm so glad you're here. Last week, if you recall, I think that was week 2, we learned a lot. Santa showed you a board, a checklist of items that he checks to make sure that he has everything needed to be Santa on Christmas or even when he travels around the world, visiting people or incognito, checking on whether or not someone's on the naughty or nice list. Last week, do you remember? You saw Santa's giant boots. This week, we're going to see Santa's giant belt and suspenders, things that keep Santa's pants up. We cannot have Santa's pants falling down, can we? No. And we had a nice visit with the Engel family. Do you remember? We started reading the first chapter of Laura Ingalls Wilder's Little House on the Prairie books, The Christmas Story. And we'll continue that in this episode. But first, we're going to start with Santa's favorite snow globe. Here comes Santa Claus, and I am here. Santa has that big belly, and we can't have Santa's pants falling down now, can we? So Santa has suspenders. Don't know if you can see these, but they have Santa on them. And what they do is they come over Santa's shoulders inside my coat, and they snap on with these lovely snaps to the tops of my pants, and I can adjust them to get tighter so that Santa's pants never fall down. Suspenders, so important to Santa. But some of you last year saw a little bit of this. Do you remember last week we saw Santa's giant boots with the fur all over them that keep Santa warm when he's flying around on the sleigh? Well, here's the other thing that keeps Santa's pants from falling down. Do you see this big buckle that says Santa? It's very solid. It's solid brass. It's a very heavy special metal. And look at it. Look how long It's like a long snake, isn't it? It's a very, very long belt. Santa puts it on just like any other belt. It loops around my big belly and it holds up my pants. Very nice. My special two elves, one that makes things out of metal and brass, and the other elf who made my boots made this leather belt. So those are two other items that Santa uses to be Santa Claus. Santa had a very special weekend. If you recall, I said that I might be traveling around the world checking on the naughty and the nice, even though I come back and forth to the North Pole. I was in a place in what state? The United States, California, in a town called Laguna Beach, down next to the Pacific Ocean. Someone there called and said, Santa, we know you're very, very busy. We know you're working with the elves at the workshop, getting ready for Christmas. But one of your helpers normally would come and help us here at our wonderful festival, our winter Christmas festival. And he came down very sick. So Santa said, certainly, I'll be happy to come. And when I got there, it was amazing. Towering trees everywhere, little buildings everywhere, fully decorated with beautiful Christmas lights and ornaments, trees that were decorated with ornaments and lights. There were even lots of activities and places for children to play. And there were lots of children. They had even provided Santa with his own Santa house with a large chair. Santa was able to visit with hundreds and hundreds of children. Parents came, took photos. A lot of the children were dressed up in their special dresses, their Christmas holiday dresses. The boys looked very handsome as well. And it was a very special time. There were a lot of new babies, their very first Christmas with Santa. So Santa had a wonderful time meeting all of these children, taking probably thousands of photos. But it was a wonderful event. If you're near Los Angeles, where Laguna Beach is, maybe you can search on your computer and find something called the Sawdust Festival Winter Fantasy. I had such a wonderful time that I'll be returning there this Friday. Today is what, Wednesday? So in 2 days, this Friday and this Saturday and this Sunday and the following weekends until December 19th, Santa will be there trying to bring a little bit of joy into people's lives. I hope to see you. Look it up on your computer and come and have a wonderful time with all kinds of activities. They even have a little petting zoo. They have 150 different vendors who are selling all of their Christmas art and different things like that. There's restaurants and there's music. They even have snow falling in this special area outside Santa's house. It was a wonderful, wonderful time. I hope to see you at the Sawdust Festival Winter Fantasy this coming weekend and in the weekends after that. Wonderful. Well, in some countries, including the United States, this is the day before a special holiday. You know, it's called Thanksgiving. It's a special word, giving of thanks. It's a special time of year, but it's a special day as well, where we all take time to reflect and to think about anything that might we be thankful for. Santa would ask that you do the same. Perhaps you are thankful for your health. This last year and a half, we've lost a lot of people to the pandemic. I hope everyone's getting vaccinated. It's such an important thing that you can do to make your world and the world of others safer. So yes, get fully vaccinated. Thanksgiving. Perhaps you have enough food on your table. Perhaps you have a place to sleep that's safe. Perhaps you have family and friends that care about you and love you. If you're a child, perhaps you have toys and things that are fun for you. For those things, give thanks. Count your blessings. Appreciate those things that you have. A lot of people don't have those things, and in fact, during this time of year, Santa would ask that you think about and maybe find people, children especially, who aren't as fortunate. They don't have enough food. Maybe they don't have a roof over their head. Maybe there's a way that you can help them, care for them, love them. Show your gratitude. Show your thankfulness for all of your many blessings. But especially remember those who don't quite have the blessings you have, the blessings Santa has. I have a phrase here at the North Pole that I hope that the elves will enjoy. Have an attitude that reflects gratitude. An attitude of gratitude. Being grateful. Can you do that for Santa? Be grateful this special Thanksgiving as we move past Thanksgiving into the season of Christmas. We'll be talking more about Christmas in coming weeks. Many people think, and it was especially evident when I appeared at the Sawdust Festival, that a lot of children wanted a lot of toys and a lot of things. But the season of Christmas, of these holidays, is about not getting, but about giving. And we'll talk about that later on. It's a wonderful, wonderful time of the year. Thanksgiving, giving our thanks. I shared with you Santa's belt. And now we're going to continue reading from the oh my goodness, from Laura Ingalls Wilder's Christmas Stories. Do you remember what we read last week? This is a chapter book. It's not filled with photographs or artwork like many of our other picture books are. You can go, by the way, I had a parent mention that their child's favorite book is the Polar Express. And they had just watched the movie of it. I mentioned to them that Santa has recorded the Polar Express, reading it. They can go on to my Santa channel on YouTube called Santa Jeff Claus, where they can watch Santa read the Polar Express and many other Christmas and holiday books. And you can watch more of these videos that Santa has made through the years. Chapter 1, Christmas in the Big Woods, is what we read last week. If you remember, there's Ma and there's Pa, and they went to Wisconsin as settlers. And there's Mary, the oldest sister, and Laura, the middle sister, who's about 8. And then there's Carrie, the younger baby sister, who's about 3, maybe 4. It talked about their life just beginning on the prairie in Wisconsin and their first Christmas there together in their new home. And now we will read chapter 2. It's called The Cousins. Perhaps you have cousins. The day before Christmas arrived, as did the cousins. Laura and Mary heard sleigh bells ringing outside their door. The sound grew louder every minute. They looked out the window and saw a big bobsled coming out of the woods and riding up to their front door. A bobsled is kind of like Santa's sleigh, but much larger. Aunt Eliza and Uncle Peter and the cousins were in the bobsled, all covered up under blankets and robes and buffalo skins. They were wrapped in so many coats and shawls that they looked like big, shapeless bundles. When they came inside the house became full of conversation and full of laughter. The children were so happy to see one another. The cat was frazzled and ran outside and hid in the barn. The bulldog, Jack, he jumped around in circles through the snow outside. He barked and he barked as though he would never stop. But now there were cousins to play with. As soon as Aunt Eliza had unwrapped the cousins, Peter and Alice and Ella and Laura, they began to run and they jumped and they shouted all at once. Even Mary, who was usually a quieter little girl, she was so good all of the time, she couldn't help but jump and shout as well. At last, Aunt Eliza shushed them. "I'll tell you what we can do," Alice said, one of the cousins. "Let's go make pictures." Alice said they must go out into the snow to make these pictures. Ma thought it was too cold for Laura and all of the other girls to play outside. But when Ma saw how sad Laura was, she said, "Go ahead and play outside for a while." Ma put on Laura's coat and mittens and the warm cape with the hood. Then she wrapped a scarf around Laura's neck. When they were outside, Alice showed them what to do. Alice climbed up on top of a tree stump. Then all at once, she held her arms out to her sides and she fell forward, flat onto her face, into the soft, deep, freezing snow. Slowly and carefully, she stood up and pointed to the ground. There in the snow, it looked like the shape of a little girl, Laura and Mary clapped their hands together in delight. This is how we make pictures. All day they played at making snow pictures. Laura had never had so much fun. They played so hard that when nighttime came, they were too excited even to sleep. But they had to sleep because they knew, just like you know, that Santa Claus would not arrive at their home unless they were asleep. So they hung their stockings by the fireplace and said their prayers, and they went to bed. But the girls still could not sleep. Alice and Ella and Mary and Laura all slept in one big bed on the floor. Peter slept on the little trundle bed. Aunt Eliza and Uncle Peter were going to sleep in the big bed. Another bed was made up on the attic floor, and that was where Pa and Ma were going to sleep. The buffalo robes and all of the blankets and all of the jackets had been brought in from Uncle Peter's sled. So there were enough covers for everybody. And in the home with the little fire, everyone was warm and toasty and happy. The little log house had never been so full. Laura and the cousins tried to fall asleep, but they could not. They were wide awake as they listened to the grown-ups talking in front of the fireplace. Finally, Ma said quietly to her husband, Charles, "You need to go and play your fiddle for the children. Only then will they likely fall asleep." So Pa went and got his fiddle. If you recall, I think we mentioned last week that the fiddle is another word for violin. The room was still warm and full of firelight. Laura could see Mom's shadow, Aunt Eliza and Uncle Peter, and they were standing in front of the fireplace chit-chatting, drinking their coffee, as Pa's fiddle sang merrily into the air of the log cabin. Finally, the children started to fall asleep, especially as they listened to Pa and his fiddle singing softly. Next week, we'll begin chapter 3. It's entitled Christmas Morning. So today we had a wonderful visit, didn't we? We learned about Santa's suspenders and Santa's big giant belt. We learned that Santa had made an appearance at a wonderful event in Southern California that you, if you live in that area, can also go to. And you would have a wonderful time. Santa reminded you that you can go on to his YouTube channel, Santa Jeff Claus, and watch these videos, and watch videos of Santa reading Christmas and holiday stories. But the most important thing I think that we spoke about today was the importance of giving thanks, counting our blessings, showing an attitude that shows gratitude, being grateful for what we have, and doing something to maybe make the lives of people who don't have as many blessings as we have, make their lives a little bit better by helping them in some small way. Showing your attitude of gratitude. I thank you for visiting. Blessings to you. Children, try your very best. And I hope to see you next week when I might have more stories for you from my appearance at the Sawdust Festival Winter Fantasy. But until then, if you're in a country that celebrates Thanksgiving, enjoy your day with your family and your friends. And even if you're not celebrating Thanksgiving in a different country, you can still have an attitude of gratitude. You can still give thanks for your many blessings. Until next week, blessings to you. Bye-bye now.